Hi everyone, and welcome to the Libra February 2022 Illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, which is a place to better connect with and illuminate your own spiritual importance. I am Lauren. Hi and welcome. So Libra, you'll notice all of your cards are out on the table, and I almost wanted to cry when I realized that the beautiful reading that just came through for you did not record. So I am re-recording this for you. I'm not going to pull a second spread because this message was so powerful and I felt like it needed to be shared. Warning, it's an emotional message, but I do think for some of you this is something that Spirit would like you to see. So I'm going to go through this reading as I normally would, just going through each card as I normally would, but they are all here on the table, so you won't actually physically see me pull them for this month. All right, so this reading here specifically is meant to help you find the meaning in the challenge or challenges you are currently experiencing and why Spirit would like you to face these challenges, as being able to show you and illuminate something about your path and purpose, and being able to illuminate your, I would say, kind of superpowers and something that needs specifically regarding yourself to be illuminated for you. Okay, so Libra. We're going to take a look here at your internal energy, at the external energy that Spirit is asking you to engage with. That is going to be difficult, but that is meant to, in you facing this challenge and engaging with this part of your external environment, going to unlock and illuminate something about yourself that Spirit would like you to become aware of. So this month, you guys are sitting with the Tower as your internal energy. Now, the Tower is, when it is in your external environment, it can be disruptive. This is when Spirit has been trying to show you something in your life that needs to change. Some area that is now kind of been built on a faulty foundation, something that you know in yourself you've needed to walk away from for some time. And in your external environment, what will happen is when we choose not to engage and make, through our free will, the changes that need to happen, Spirit will come in and change them for us. And this can come in the form of us losing a job, or even losing somebody in our life, or having to suddenly change a location. Now, when this happens internally, this is when we have that almost kind of emotional breakdown, where we can no longer hide from ourselves what is no longer serving us on an emotional level. This is kind of coming to that realization that your romantic partnership is not beneficial to you anymore, or that a certain way of living, something within the way that you are living your life, is no longer bringing you joy or fulfillment, or preventing you from feeling that. So this is where Spirit kind of comes in and tears down that wall you've built up around you being able to feel, you being able to emotionally connect both to yourself and your singular spiritual importance, as well as to connect with what emotionally fulfills you in life. And this can be very difficult to deal with because it leaves us in that place of truth. Now, it can be very liberating. In fact, it's not even it can. It is incredibly liberating because this allows you to get back into full engagement again with life. It is liberating in that now you can see where things are not serving who you are as a unique being, and you have the full clarity from a place of emotion to be able to understand, no, this doesn't feel good, and I can see why now. Because what Spirit is asking you to connect with over here is a difficult romantic or soul-based connection in your external environment. What does that mean? So this card here, this is very interesting. So I said this before, I think Libra or Gemini got this in their reading. This is a card in this specific Centennial edition of the Smith-Waite Tarot that is unique to this deck. It is one of two cards that was hand painted, and placed in this deck. And to me, it's similar to the Lover's card, but it is, for me, it denotes specifically romantic or soul-based relationships, where the Lover's card can bring in all kinds of other meanings aside from just romantic love. So for you, there is something around this, whether it is a true romantic partnership or whether it is a deep soul contracted relationship where this could be a long-time business partner or a connection to a family member that's been very strong, or even a friend. That there's something here that Spirit would like you to, that you're basically realizing now there's something that is not serving who you are, that it is not allowing you to be fulfilled on an emotional level. And why is Spirit asking you to have this realization and to be able to communicate to this person what you are realizing now about why this interaction in this relationship isn't working for you? Because ultimately it is here to allow you to clarify for yourself what your Ten of Cups is. And what does Ten of Cups represent? Ten of Cups represents our ultimate heart's desire. When you look at this, it is the happy family card. It's a beautiful depiction of what I like to call being able on an emotional level to feel into what heaven on earth would feel like for you. And that's what and why Spirit is asking you now, and why Spirit's actually tearing down those walls in your emotional self to say, you've walled yourself off from understanding your own spiritual importance. You've walled yourself off from connecting with what emotionally feels good for you. And it's time for you to have that difficult conversation. Now, in my first reading, I wanted to preface that before I even pulled out any of the cards. I wanted to preface this with, just because you're being asked to tell this other relationship in your life how you're feeling, the clarity you're having on an emotional level, and having that difficult conversation, it doesn't mean that this is going to end that relationship or that the relationship has to end because of it. This could simply be that you have been withholding some aspect of yourself from connecting with this relationship, and you almost having this kind of breakdown to break through, to be able to communicate to this person what isn't working in the relationship, what isn't working for you, what would work for you. You might give that person the ability to say, wow, I had no idea that that's what you were going through. I love you. I want this to work. So let's have a bigger, broader conversation as to how we can change our lives so that you don't feel this way anymore, that you don't feel disconnected from your own Ten of Cups. Now, this could be also in, a work relationship where this is something where you tell a partner that you feel like you've been the one doing all the work, or that maybe the business has taken a turn from its original reason for why you started it, and you don't resonate with it anymore, or you don't like the work that it's turned into. And in being able to clarify that in an open and honest way, your business partner might come back and say, oh my gosh, I've been feeling the same way. I thought you were the one who wanted to keep it this way. Or, you know what, now that I've heard your perspective, yes, let's make these changes. It could also result in the opposite. So there's always going to be that chance that, yes, that business partner might say, you know what, then let's dissolve the business. Or it might be with your romantic partnership that partner might say, well, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing what I'm going to do. And at that point, that's the message that Spirit's trying to say, is the reason why you're being asked to express this is so that it gives you the answer of what needs to happen from this point forward. So what came up in your challenge position here is you have the Queen of Swords, Three of Swords, Ace of Pentacles at the heart of your reading, Ten of Cups, and Page of Cups. So the Queen of Swords is in your main challenge position. And the Queen of Swords is an energy that actually harnesses your energy, Libra. But there's a quality here of speaking to the experiences you have gone through and the lessons you've learned from them. And in her highest energy, there's a quality with the Queen of Swords that she is speaking from an empowered place, a place of, this is what I have gone through, and these are the lessons I've learned, and this is my story. This is what's made me the strong person I am today. Now, in the challenge position, this can be where it's more coming from a place of being jaded, where instead of saying, this is how strong I am because of this and this is what I've gone through, she instead applies her story across the board and says, well, because I went through this and this negative thing happened, if I try to do it again, this negative result will happen again. This is where we get into that kind of wheelhouse of, well, just because this guy broke my heart, well, all men suck. Or just because my first business failed, my next business will fail. That's obviously where this is heading. It's kind of making those general kind of overarching observations or rationalizations. And with the Three of Swords coming up right after that, this is really speaking to the heartache, the ghosts of the past, of our previous moments that hurt us on an emotional level, but now we're just reliving them in our mental space. This is where we've actually moved away from feeling them. We are no longer even emotionally tied to these stories. This is just where in our head it's that constant loop of, well, this person told me I'm bad, or the last time I opened myself up in this vulnerable way, I got hurt, or I suck at business because every business I've ever had has failed. And this is where Spirit's asking you to really get out of your head, Libra, and into your heart space. That's why the tower is being torn down internally and not externally for you. I have this feeling that everything may seem in your external environment like it's going well, like it's okay. Maybe you do have what looks like a thriving business on the outside in a good relationship with your business partner, or maybe you look like you have a great maybe partnership, and that you guys seem to be supporting each other. Or you have all of the above, you have the home life and all these things, but there's something here that on a deep level, why it's happening internally is because when change happens internally, it's actually far more effective in changing our external environment than if something in our external environment changes. And that's the importance of this message here for you, Libra, is that why Spirit is breaking down this wall around your emotional center, this direct tie to who you are on a spiritual level, is because it's time for you to make a big life change. It's time for you to step in to understanding what your Ten of Cups is and to start working towards it for yourself. Why? Because at the heart of your reading, you have the Ace of Pentacles. And the Ace of Pentacles is a gift from the divine. This is a gift in the physical. This is not, let's say, just like an inspiration or an idea. The Ace of Pentacles is something that is going to physically grow into something of abundance. This is maybe being given a little gift of seed money towards something, or being offered maybe a place to stay. This can even be something like if maybe you're trying to reconnect with a partner, of the romantic partner that you've kind of fallen out of maybe connection with. This could be something where you have a family member or a mother-in-law, father-in-law come in and say, why don't you and so-and-so go on a second honeymoon? We'll watch the kids for a week or two while you do that. It's something that's going to give you that fresh start, the possibility towards you actually moving towards your Ten of Cups. And it is a gift, and gifts from the divine are not meant to be squandered. They're meant to be seen as possibilities and potentialities. And I love right after the bat, you have Ten of Cups coming up after this. And I got the feeling strongly as I was reading into this reading here that there is an element that some of you have told yourself that your Ten of Cups, it's almost like you're not worthy of that Ten of Cups, or that you don't believe is possible. That now that you've gone through what you've gone through, there's no way you can have that. It's just not for you. Even though you want it desperately in the heart of your core, it's just never going to happen. And Spirit's saying, no. Each one of us has a Ten of Cups for us. Each one of us has a vision of what our heaven on earth would feel like for us, because each one of us is a singular being. Each one of us only will exist here in this time with all of the things that we have that are unique to us and from this perspective. And we are just that one. There might be somebody standing next to us who has quite a few similar traits to us and maybe in the same geographic location, but they are still going to be, no matter how close you get, their perspective is still going to be different from yours. Whether it's a foot to the left, a foot in front of you, it doesn't matter. Their perspective will always be different from yours. And so this is something as a reminder that Spirit would like you to remember. As a singular being, you have a singular potential to fulfill. And that singular potential might differ from somebody else's, and that's okay. That other person might have served to get you to a certain point in your life to where now you get to learn a new lesson and to kind of almost level up. So again, we can never sit there and say that to look back on regret for relationships we've had or decisions we've made, because each one of those decisions and relationships that maybe did not work out were meant to help us learn something about ourselves, to see how strong we can be. And that's really what you're being asked to realize about yourself, because you're being asked to reconnect with that Ten of Cups and to be reassured that it is for you, that this is meant for you in the way that you connect with it, in the way that you see it, not in the way that somebody else might convince you it should be, or that you've convinced yourself can only be possible, but in a way that you know is what would be your ultimate heart's fulfillment. Because the final challenge here and kind of breaking through is the Page of Cups. And this is where Spirit's asking you to have the courage to wear your heart on your sleeve and express this new emotional realization with the innocence and optimism of a child. And to understand that you are holding up what's in your cup. And in emotionally connecting with that, you know what's in your cup. You know what emotionally fulfills you now. You know what you value. There's a quality here of understanding that maybe you realize that being with your children is what you value, and the current situation doesn't work for you, or that, working towards a specific work, goal is what works for you, and that's what you value. Or that now you really value doing something in the physical that challenges you, like rock climbing or going around the world and traveling. And there's something here that you've not been able to see. And Spirit's asking you, take a look in your cup and see what it is. See what you're being called to emotionally connect with, and then hold that out into your external environment, and to see whether or not that these relationships come and either look at your cup and say, oh my gosh, I love what's in there, I want to support it. Or they come and say, and they laugh at it. They may laugh at it. They may say, well, I don't care about that. That doesn't hold any value for me. That doesn't emotionally fulfill me. Well, then at that point, that's what Spirit's asking you to realize, is if that's what you get as the response, then that's where you know you need to turn away, because you'll be supported by others who do honor what's in your cup. And ultimately, that cup is meant to fulfill and to fill the Ten of Cups. So you have that ability from what emotionally fulfills you to create your Ten of Cups from that. Such a beautiful message. And for some of you, I mentioned this in the first recording that didn't work, was that I have gone through this personally in my life. I've gone through a time just like this, and I can say that when this happens, when the tower happens on an internal level, this is one of those turning points that you'll look back in your life and say, that's where everything changed. And you're in that moment right now. And look to that with a sense of optimism and excitement instead of anxiety, because what happens after this point, and I know from personal experience, is that all of the things you want to hope and dream for that you told yourself you couldn't are going to start to come in for you. And they're going to come in ways that even you, in your kind of grandest imagination, of what would this be like. They're going to come in ways that will exceed that. Now, I went through something, again, very much within this reading, where I did have to make a very difficult life decision. And I did have to go through this moment of internally reconnecting with myself and my life, where I'd gone through many years totally disconnected. And that is actually why I have this channel and I create these type of readings, but it's also why I have my website and I counsel people who are going through this time in their life, because I have gone through it and I understand the importance of having support as you go through this, and the beautiful, beneficial qualities to your life that it helps open you up to. So it's one of those things that don't stop, keep going. And I can say from my own personal experience, once I made that decision to reconnect with who I was and what fulfilled me in life, it changed everything for me. It allowed me to understand and to make use of the opportunities coming in for me, but it also allowed me to realize that my vision for my life was just as important as another's. And I had to hold that valuable to myself. Okay, so now I pulled cards down here for the principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. And this is engaging the Triad of Engagement, which is a coaching tool I utilize to help take what is a very general message and bring it into more of an individualized message for you. So I pulled the card of the Goddess of the Moon, which is number 52, breaking down to a 7, for the concept of curiosity. And this is where Spirit would like us to be curious and open to some aspect of what the energies of this card in our life through the month of February, to help bring awareness to something that we might not otherwise have been open to. And I did say the Goddess of the Moon, this card focuses specifically on reminding you that you always have this connection to your intuition, which is also a direct tie to Spirit. And that even though things may seem kind of murky and shadowy and unclear, that when we are kind of called up to leave a comfort zone, we are called up to kind of walk a path on faith. You're being called to take action with a difficult step of action, with the faith that it will ultimately be within your best interest. This is a reminder from Spirit that you always have that ability to go within, connect, and feel that, no, this is right to do. I'm feeling this for a reason. And where you can be curious is to ask yourself, where have you been denying that feeling? Where have you been feeling called to make a change or called to express something about yourself or to somebody else? And where have you been holding yourself back from doing that? Because it may feel scary, because it may cause a change in your external environment that forces you to kind of have to walk a path on faith, that forces you into something that's out of your current comfort zone, something that's maybe even out of your control. And where can you really fall back into trusting your feelings, trusting what Spirit actually brings up for you from that emotional core, and being able to take action from that place? I think you guys have been so disconnected from this emotion. I see a lot of this as your main challenge of you've been in your head, you've been trying to rationalize the pain and overthink the pain, but you haven't been feeling it. And it's time to allow yourself to feel again. And yes, it's going to be painful to start. It's going to be painful, but it's necessary, because that wound will heal. And that part of yourself that you're exposing to the air, it is going to feel a little raw and it's going to feel vulnerable, but it will heal, just like when we have a wound that's exposed to air and it heals. And eventually you might have a little scar, but that scar is meant to remind you of how strong you are and how far you've come. It's something to actually tie you to something in time, a point in time, so that you can track how far you've come. All right, so then for the concept of courage, which is where Spirit would like you to either have the courage to take action or keep in mind as you have the courage to take action, you had 3 cards that came out. You had Surrender the Drama, Surrender outdated beliefs about yourself and surrender to passion. So we have surrender the drama. It says no matter how emotionally charged the situation, remain calm and don't contribute to the drama. Staying centered will help resolve the issue more quickly. And I think this is beautiful to keep in mind. You know, Libra, you are the sign that harnesses the superpower of balance, meaning that you have the ability to stay calm, and that yes, you are probably going to have an emotionally charged conversation or realization at some point this month. But you also have the ability to keep the balance, meaning that you can state your piece and you can calmly allow the other person to react to what you are saying. Now, if they don't agree with you, it's not your place to force them to agree or see. If they say, well, I don't care about what you're feeling now, and I don't want to make the changes, and I don't care what's in your cup, well, then that's just for you to say, okay, well, you know, I've tried, gave it my best effort, wore my heart on my sleeve, but now I know that I have to find this someplace else. I have to find the person who does honor this, or I have to find the business partnership that does support me in this new emotional connection to something in life. There's this quality here of just understanding it's not about being drama. It's not about goading somebody to get into a fight or having to actually kind of blow it out of proportion. There's more about you just saying, this is a realization I've had, and I'm just gonna have to state it because I have no other recourse. It's like almost like having that emotional breakdown of like, I can't hide from the truth anymore. I have to state it. And then you have surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. You have let go of limiting ideas about yourself that originate from the past. Then you can own your power and soar into life. And this is exactly what Spirit's asking you to connect with here with the Queen of Swords and the Three of Swords. Just because something hurt you in the past or something didn't work out in the past, it does not mean that this time around when you try to express from this emotional place that it will happen in the same way. Or there's also this quality here of realizing just how much you've gone through and how much stronger you are. So that if it's time to release this relationship, that you are going to bring in somebody who now meets you at this higher level of learning, where you've gone through more, you understand more, you have more clarity on what will fulfill you, and you have a better idea of what to do with this Ace of Pentacles, and now it'll help bring in people who support that. And then you have surrender to passion. It says, get out of your head and feel the fire in your belly. Get out of your head and get into your emotional core. It says, focus on the people or activities that ignite your passion and let it flow. Wonderful. And this is, again, when you're thinking about having the courage to take the action to express and recognize that something is not working for you on an emotional level, that in order to reconnect with who you are and what emotionally fulfills you, the best place to do that is to get back in line with what does make you feel emotionally connected. Get back out there and start to work with that feeling again. And I can tell you from personal experience, it's going to feel a little wonky. You're going to feel a little bit like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz going from sepia-toned Kansas into Technicolor Oz. It will feel very much like, almost like stepping out into the light of day after you've been in a dark room for a long period of time. It may seem blinding and almost unrealistic. It might feel like, oh my gosh, there's just so much going on and I almost don't know what to interact with and what to start. But that's where it's time for you to kind of see the world with fresh eyes and to realize there are things that are going to ignite your passion. And it's time to just start trying them out. That's what gets you reconnected again and engaged with life. And I think you guys have, on an emotional level, been disengaged for quite some time. And then we have two cards that came out here, which are Keepers of the Earth, says you are not alone, ancient ancestors stand beside you, and Lemuria, which is creating heaven on earth, it's happening. I love this card. So what I found interesting and what I stated in the first reading that I did was, or the first recording was, it's interesting, Gemini, the reading that I did before yours a couple days ago, got the exact same cards. So there's a strong quality that either you are interacting with a Gemini or that you might have a strong Gemini placement, or that what I've noticed sometimes with myself personally when I watch other readers, sometimes when the same cards come up like this, it's almost like there's two sides to the message you need to hear. And for some of you, that might be in the Gemini reading, that there might be another side to this that you need to hear that kind of fleshes out the bigger picture for the month of February. So for some of you, I would recommend checking that out as well. But otherwise, I also kind of had the strange feeling too that perhaps in maybe changing this dynamic, you might be bringing in a Gemini who might be part of this new Ace of Pentacles, which is interesting. Okay, so we have Keepers of the Earth. You are not alone, ancient ancestors stand beside you. Now, in the Gemini message, I got a slightly different intuitive message around this one. For you guys, I get more of the feeling that this isn't necessarily ancient ancestors or people in the spirit realm, so to speak, that this is more of a feeling of you are not alone and there are people all around you who are looking to help you. But you have to admit it to yourself and then admit it out loud as to what you need. Now, for me personally, this looked like when I was going through this same time in my life, this looked like me actually having to face some very real aspects of my life when I was walking away from a romantic partnership and a job and all these things. And I was like, well, where am I going to live? How am I going to live? How am I going to pay my bills? And it took me kind of breaking down and opening up to my mom to have her say, sweetheart, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for you to say this. We didn't want to meddle, we didn't want to pry, but come live with us. We will, don't worry about everything. Just get your bags, come home. And what's crazy is when I look back now, I'm like, oh, my parents have always been there for me. Like, why hadn't I asked for help before that point? Why did I feel like it was so detrimental and that I had to take on this change all on my own? Why did I feel like I couldn't go to them earlier when I was not feeling connected or I didn't feel like things were working out? Why did it take for me having to finally be kind of at my wit's end to have this internal tower moment of just all breakdown to be able to realize that they had always been there to help me? And this is the feeling I have for you, Libra, is that there are people around you who are willing and waiting and hoping for the ability, the chance to help you. And when you start to speak from this place, those people will come. And that might be a new business partner, maybe somebody who says, I was waiting for you to walk away from that business venture because I've been waiting for you to join mine. Or somebody who says, I've been waiting for you to walk away from that relationship because, oh my God, my best friend got divorced 2 years ago. He's the best person you've ever met, and I've been waiting to connect you with him. It's this strange feeling of a synchronicity coming in with you, someplace where you feel you're totally alone and you just kind of don't know how it's all going to work, that there's people around you who are just waiting to help, to fill in that little bit of a gap as you kind of change your whole life in this very moment. And then Lemuria, creating heaven on earth that's happening. Ten of Cups is your version of heaven on earth. Everybody has their own vision of heaven. No two people's perspectives are the same. So if you have to realize that somebody else's perspective was not in alignment with yours, it's time for you to realize it's time for you to create your own. Now, I pulled one last message here because it was such a powerful reading that I felt you guys needed to have just a little extra something. So the card that came out was 11. It says 1111 messages in the numbers. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read the little blurb from the book kind of as a final takeaway for you guys. And it says, the universe is speaking to you through numbers. From 1111 on your phone to the repeating number patterns that catch your eye, information is being transmitted from the creative universal intelligence into your cellular awareness. You may feel energetic healing as you receive these transmissions of number frequencies. And what I get from this is Spirit saying, yeah, it's going to take courage, but you'll know that I'm with you. You'll know that you're on the right track. And when you start to kind of feel that doubt, keep an eye out for the signs. because I'm here with you. And those signs could come in the form of, it doesn't have to be 1111. That could be maybe your favorite sports player is number 47 or something like that. And so that number holds some significance for you. And when you see it, you feel like, okay, things are working for me. Things are on the right track. Like, okay, I am making the right decisions. And so this is what Spirit's asking you to keep in mind throughout the month of February, is as you're starting to make this transition, that if you need that little extra like feeling of, am I doing the right thing? Is this, that kind of feeling, that you will see some type of number pattern that means something to you, that will give you that little bit of that faith, that internal like push to say, yep, you're on the right track. Keep going. All right, Libra, this has been such a powerful message. I really hope you guys have a good February. I know it might not, this seems like, oh yeah, great. I don't know if I'm going to have a good February or not, but I can tell you from personal experience, this is that time in your life where you will look back and say, wow, this is where my whole life changed. This is where I opened myself up to the next chapter in my life. And it's going to be beautiful. All right, if you would like to illuminate your own personal spiritual importance and to see how it can be of service to yourself and others, you can click on the link in the description box below to book a private personal tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session. And I look forward to reading for you mid-month and going into March. Sending you so much love, Libras. I feel for you, but I'm excited for you as well. All right, bye guys.